Hello, friends. You're watching The Night Watchman, where every day you'll hear a brand new horror story that will send chills down your spine. But to keep bringing you these terrifying tales, we need your love and support. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's begin the story. Now we're Yadi. I never thought turning 30 would feel like the end of the world. But here I was, staring at the rain-slicked streets of Portland, Oregon, from my apartment window on the morning of my birthday. The city was alive with its usual gray drizzle, coffee shops buzzing below on Northwest 23rd Avenue, people huddled under umbrellas like they were auditioning for a Pacific Northwest postcard. My name is Emily Carter, and I've lived here for the past 5 years, ever since I fled the small town of Ashland where I grew up. Portland was supposed to be my fresh start, a place where the tech scene swallowed up lost souls like me, turning us into baristas or app developers. I chose the latter, coding away at a startup that promised to revolutionize grocery delivery, but mostly just delivered burnout. But let's rewind. My backstory isn't the kind you share at cocktail parties. I was born in Ashland, a picturesque spot in Southern Oregon famous for its Shakespeare Festival and rolling hills. My parents, Jack and Linda Carter, were high school sweethearts who ran a little bookstore downtown. We lived in a cozy Victorian house on Siskiyou Boulevard, the kind with creaky floors and an attic full of forgotten treasures. I had a younger brother, Tommy, who was my shadow, always tagging along, begging for stories I'd make up about ghosts in the woods behind our yard. Life was idyllic, or at least that's how I remember it through the rose-tinted glasses of childhood. Everything changed on my 10th birthday. It was July 15th, 2005, a scorching summer day unusual for Oregon. My parents threw a party in the backyard, balloons tied to the fence, a piñata shaped like a dragon, and a cake with 10 candles flickering in the breeze. Tommy, who was 8, kept stealing frosting when no one was looking. The neighbors came, Mr. and Mrs. Harlan from next door, the Wilsons with their yappy dog, and even old Widow Green, who lived across the street and rarely left her porch. I blew out the candles, wishing for a pony like every kid does, and we all laughed as the smoke curled up into the blue sky. That night, after the guests left and Tommy was tucked in, I couldn't sleep. The house felt too quiet, the air thick with leftover heat. I remember sneaking downstairs for a glass of water when I smelled it. Smoke. Not the pleasant kind from a campfire, but acrid, choking. I ran to the living room and saw flames licking up the curtains. Panic hit me like a truck. I screamed for my parents, but the fire spread fast, roaring through the dry wooden beams. I grabbed Tommy from his room, dragging him down the stairs as the heat blistered my skin. We made it out the back door, coughing and crying, but when I looked back, the whole house was engulfed. Firefighters arrived too late. My parents didn't make it. The official report said it was an electrical fault from faulty wiring in the attic. Tommy and I were shipped off to live with our aunt in Eugene, but the trauma stuck to us like glue. Tommy coped by burying himself in books, eventually becoming a librarian in Seattle. Me? I threw myself into computers, hacking my way through code to escape the memories. But Ashland's shadow never fully lifted. Whispers followed us, rumors that the fire wasn't an accident. Some said my dad had enemies from his time in the military, debts he couldn't pay. Others pointed to Widow Green, who had argued with my mom over property lines just days before. But no proof ever surfaced. It was ruled accidental, case closed. Fast forward to today, July 15th, 2025. I'm 30, single, and my biggest excitement is a solo hike in Forest Park planned for the afternoon. Tommy called at dawn, singing an off-key, happy birthday over the phone. "Don't forget to treat yourself, Em," he said, "and stay away from candles." We laughed, but it was forced. I hung up and checked my mail. Nothing but bills and a junk flyer. Work emails piled up, but I took the day off. Instead, I brewed coffee and scrolled through social media, liking friends' posts from afar. Portland felt safe, anonymous. No one here knew my past. The first odd thing happened around noon, a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Deliveries go to the lobby. Peering through the peephole, I saw a delivery guy in a nondescript uniform holding a small package. "Emily Carter?" he asked when I opened the door a crack. I nodded, signing for it. The box was plain brown, no return address, just my name scrawled in Sharpie. Inside was a silver locket, antique-looking, with a photo of a little girl who looked eerily like me at age 10. No note. My heart skipped. Who would send this? An old friend? Tommy playing a prank? I texted him a photo. "You're doing?" He replied immediately. "Nope. Creepy? Throw it out." I didn't. Instead, I clasped it around my neck, feeling a strange pull. It was beautiful after all. Shaking it off, I headed out for my hike. Forest Park is a massive urban wilderness, trails weaving through Douglas firs and ferns, the air thick with moss and mist. I parked at the trailhead off Highway 30, laced up my boots, and started up the Wildwood Trail. It was mid-afternoon. The path dappled with sunlight filtering through the canopy. Birds chirped, squirrels scampered. Nature's birthday card. About a mile in, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Happy birthday, Emily. Remember the piñata?" I froze. Only someone from that party would know about the dragon piñata. My thumbs flew. "Who is this?" No reply. Signal was spotty in the woods, so I kept walking, unease creeping in like the fog. The trail narrowed, roots twisting underfoot. I heard footsteps behind me, crunch, crunch. Turning, I saw no one, probably another hiker. But the sounds persisted, always just out of sight. By the time I reached a clearing, sweat beaded on my forehead despite the cool air. Another text. The fire wasn't an accident. My blood ran cold. I dialed Tommy, but no bars. Panic rising, I turned back toward the car, jogging now. Branches whipped my face, my breath ragged. Finally bursting out of the trees, I saw my car and something on the windshield. A note tucked under the wiper. "Check the attic. Secrets burn." Attic? My old house in Ashland had an attic, but it burned down 20 years ago. I drove home in a blur, the locket heavy against my chest. Portland traffic was a nightmare, horns blaring as I weaved through downtown. Back in my apartment, I poured a glass of wine to steady my nerves. The locket, maybe it held a clue. Prying it open again, I noticed an inscription inside. For my twin flame. Twin flame? I wasn't a twin. Shaken, I called the police non-emergency line. "It's probably a prank," the dispatcher said, "but file a report if it escalates." Not helpful. As evening fell, the rain picked up, drumming against my windows like impatient fingers. I ordered pizza for a sad birthday dinner, but when the delivery arrived, there was an extra box. Not mine. Inside, a charred photo album page, showing my family at the birthday party. The edges were singed as if rescued from fire. My parents smiling, Tommy with frosting on his nose, me mid-wish. On the back, in faded ink, they knew too much. Knew too much about what? I paced the apartment, piecing together fragments. Dad's military days. He served in the Gulf War, came back changed, quiet about it. Mom once mentioned old secrets in hushed tones. And Widow Green, she'd been a nurse in the Army, same unit as Dad. Coincidence? I Googled her. Eleanor Green died in 2018. No leads. Another knock. Heart pounding, I grabbed a kitchen knife. Through the peephole. Tommy. But he was in Seattle. Opening the door, it was him, soaked from the rain. Surprise! Drove down to celebrate. Relief washed over me. I hugged him, spilling everything. The locket, texts, note, photo. His face paled. I got a similar package yesterday. A key with a note saying, "Unlock the past." I thought it was junk. We sat on the couch, comparing notes. The key looked old brass, like it fit a lockbox. Tommy pulled out his phone. "Look, I researched Dad's unit. There was a scandal. Missing funds from a relief effort. Dad was cleared, but maybe not everyone believed it." Suspense built as we connected dots. The fire, arson to silence them? But who? Midnight approached, my actual birth time. The power flickered, storm raging outside. A final text, "Happy birthday, come home." Home? Ashland. Tommy and I decided we'd drive there tonight, confront the ghosts. The road south was dark, Highway 5 slick with rain. We stopped for gas in Salem, the attendant eyeing us oddly. Bad night for travel, he muttered. Arriving in Ashland at 2 a.m., the town slept under streetlights. Our old street looked unchanged, but the house site was now a park, green grass over ashes. We parked, flashlight in hand. The note mentioned the attic, but there was no house. Tommy shone the light. Wait, the foundation. There's a cellar entrance, overgrown. We pried it open, descending into musty darkness. Cobwebs brushed our faces, the air stale. At the bottom, a locked chest. Tommy's key fit perfectly. Inside, documents, military files, letters from Dad confessing to skimming funds for our family, fearing poverty, and a photo. Dad with Widow Green. Intimate. An affair. Motive for murder. A noise above. Footsteps. We froze. The cellar door slammed shut, lock clicking. Darkness enveloped us. "Who's there?" I yelled. Laughter echoed low and menacing. "Happy birthday, Emily. You should have stayed away." The voice, familiar. "Mr. Harlan, the neighbor?" He stepped into the beam of our dropped flashlight, older now, face twisted. "Your parents ruined me, invested in their scheme, lost everything. The fire was payback, but you survived. Now on your birthday, it ends." He lunged, but Tommy tackled him. Struggle ensued, papers scattering. I grabbed a rusted pipe, swinging wild. Crack. Harlan slumped. We burst out, calling 911 from the car. Police arrived, arresting him. Confession poured out. 20 years of guilt. Back in Portland days later, scars healing, I realized the gifts were from him, taunting me, drawing me back. The locket was Mom's, stolen that night. Suspense over, but the horror lingers. Birthdays aren't celebrations anymore. They're reminders that the past can ignite at any moment. Story 2. I never believed in curses until my 30th birthday in Portland, Oregon. It started innocently enough, like any other milestone. Friends planning a surprise, my wife Emily baking that chocolate cake I love, and a quiet house on Northeast Alberta Street we'd bought 5 years ago to escape the Seattle rat race. But the real gift arrived uninvited, wrapped in the fog rolling off the Willamette River. My name's Jake Harlan, a software engineer grinding away at Intel's Hillsborough campus. Life was predictable. 9-to-5 coding sprints, weekend hikes in Forest Park, and Emily's endless optimism keeping us afloat after our miscarriage last year. She was the one who insisted on making my birthday special. 30 is big, Jake, she'd said, her hazel eyes sparkling over coffee that morning. No more half-assed celebrations. I laughed it off, kissed her goodbye, and drove to work through the drizzle. That night, the party kicked off at 7 p.m. sharp. Our bungalow glowed with string lights strung across the backyard fence. 10 friends showed up, mostly co-workers from Intel and a couple from Emily's nursing gig at Providence Hospital. Burgers on the grill, IPAs from Breakside Brewery flowing, and Emily's cake towering on the picnic table, iced with Happy 30th Jake in wobbly blue letters. Laughter echoed as Mike from QI recounted that time our team crashed the company server during a demo. I blew out the candles at 9:15, making a silent wish for another kid someday. Everyone cheered, perfect night, but as the fog thickened around 10 p.m., people started peeling off. Early meeting tomorrow, they'd mutter, hugging Emily a little too tightly. By 10:45, it was just us, the empty cake plate, and the damp chill seeping through my flannel. Emily yawned, stacking plates. "Best birthday yet?" she asked, pecking my cheek. "Couldn't be better," I lied. Truth was, something felt off, a prickling at the back of my neck, like eyes on us from the misty oaks lining our yard. Portland fog does that. It swallows sound and streetlights, turning familiar streets into stranger territory. We cleaned up, crashed by 11:30. I dreamed of water, cold, black, pulling me under. Morning hit like a hangover. January 3rd, gray skies pressing down on our sloped roof. Emily was already up, humming in the kitchen, her scrubs laid out for her shift. "Coffee's ready, birthday boy," she called. I shuffled in, rubbing sleep from my eyes. That's when I saw it. On the kitchen counter, amid the breakfast clutter, sat a small wrapped box. Gift wrap paper, red with white ribbons, no tag. Emily, what's this? I picked it up. It was light, about the size of a watch case, cold to the touch despite the warm house. She turned from the sink, brow furrowing. Jake, I didn't. That's not from me. Her voice dropped. Or anyone last night, I swear. We stared at it. The wrapping was pristine, edges crisp like from a store. No fingerprints smudged the ribbon. Maybe Mike left it? Prank? I tore it open. Inside, a silver locket on a thin chain, antique-looking, engraved with E.H., forever, on one side. The other side had a tiny photo, faded sepia, a young woman, early 20s, dark hair pinned up, smiling stiffly in a high-necked dress. Behind her, a blurred porch that looked eerily like ours but older, with gingerbread trim our house didn't have. Emily's face drained of color. E.H., that's my great-grandma, Eliza Harlan, from her stories. But how? Grandma gave me a picture once, years ago. This locket's been lost since the 20s. Chills spiderwebbed my arms. My last name's Harlan, too. Coincidence when we met. But Emily's family tree traced back to Portland pioneers. Eliza Harlan, née Hayes, had lived in this exact house, built in 1912. Family lore said she vanished on her 30th birthday, January 3rd, 1926, exactly 100 years ago today. Drowned in the Willamette, they thought, no body ever found. River took her, the old tales went. Creepy, but we dismissed it as ghost stories. Probably a gift from your mom, I said, forcing calm. She knows the date. Emily nodded uneasily, pocketed the locket, and left for work. I headed to mine, but the fog clung thicker, headlights cutting useless tunnels on I-5. Work blurred by, bug fixes, stand-up calls, but my mind looped on the locket. Googled Eliza Harlan Portland on lunch break. Grainy census records popped up. Born 1896, married Elias Harlan in 1919, no kids. Lived at 1423 N.E. Alberta. Our address, last sighting, her birthday party, 1926. Neighbors heard singing, then silence. Elias searched for days. River dragged empty. Urban legend fodder. By 5 p.m., quitting early, I drove home uneasy. Fog blanketed everything. Alberta Street was a ghost town. Shops shuttered early. Our porch light flickered as I pulled up. Had we left it on? Inside, Emily wasn't back. Note on the fridge. Running late, traffic, love you. Wear the locket? Felt right. Weird. She hated jewelry at work. I microwaved leftovers, flipped on the TV, some Trailblazers rerun, but the locket sat on the counter, chain coiled like a snake. Picked it up. Warm now, pulsing faintly? No imagination. Opened it again. The photo woman's eyes seemed sharper, pleading. Backstory flooded from half-remembered tales Emily shared. Eliza was cursed, family whispered. Her mother gifted her a birthday token on her 21st. A locket with a river pebble inside, said to bind souls to the water. Eliza wore it daily. On her 30th, during a party much like mine, she wandered into the fog, drawn to the river 2 blocks away. Never returned. Elias burned the locket, or tried. It vanished. A key scraped the lock at 7:15. Emily burst in, soaked, eyes wild. Jake, the fog. I got turned around on Alberta. Felt like driving in circles. She hugged me, shivering. Put it on me. I did. She smiled, but her reflection in the window looked off. Older? No. That night's sleep evaded. Whispers through the vents. Singing? Old-timey jazz, faint. Happy birthday to you. Rolled over. Emily murmured in her sleep. The river calls. January 4th dawned slick and silent. Emily called in sick, pale over breakfast. Headache, like pressure. I worked remote, but focus shattered when the locket vanished from her neck mid-morning. I took it off, she insisted. Found it in the backyard, half buried in mud by the fence. Chain snapped. Repaired it with pliers, but unease gnawed. Afternoon, we dug into family history. Emily's laptop pulled up digitized Portland archives. Elias Harlan's obituary, 1932. Suicide by drowning. Same spot as Eliza's presumed end. Their house stood empty for decades, bought cheap by Emily's grandparents in the 70s. Coincidence, I muttered. But the photo in the locket matched Eliza exactly. Dusk fell early, fog devouring the street. Emily napped. I paced. At 8 p.m., doorbell rang. Sharp, insistent. No one there. Just a damp envelope on the mat. For Jake Harlan, 30 years. Inside a yellowed invitation, 1926 postmark. Eliza's birthday soiree, 1423NE, Alberta. Come as you are. Forever bound. Heart hammered. Emily woke, read it, gasped. That's her handwriting. Grandma showed me letters. We bolted the doors, lights blazing. But the singing returned. Clearer from the basement we'd never finished. Stairs creaked under invisible weight. Stay here, and I grabbed a flashlight, descended. Cobwebs, boxes of junk, our life in cardboard. Then scratched into the concrete floor. E.H. waits for 30. Fresh scratches, wet dirt. Upstairs, Emily clutched the locket. Jake, it's warm again. And I hear water. Her eyes glazed, voice not her own. The gift returns on the year. Panic clawed. We drove to Emily's parents in Beaverton, fog parting like it mocked us. Her dad, grizzled ex-cop, scanned the locket under his light. Eliza's. Burned it after she vanished. Elias said it wouldn't take. Pebble inside fused to silver. River magic, old wives' crap from her Irish roots. He pulled a shoebox. Faded photos, Eliza radiant at 29, then gaunt at parties. She turned 30, hosted a bash. Next morning, gone. Elias found footprints to the riverbank. We stayed the night, but Emily twisted in sheets, whispering, Hayes, Harlan, bind. Dawn, she was gone. Truck still there, doors locked. Locket on my pillow, chain whole, pebble visible now. Smooth black stone, etched with tiny waves. Called 911. Portland PD shrugged. Fog runs off plenty. Searched the river trail, 2 blocks from home. Footprints, Emily's sneakers, leading to the muddy bank where Selwood Bridge loomed. No body, just her scrubs, folded neat, locket chain tangled in reeds. Back home alone, fog eternal. January 5th, a package arrived. UPS, no sender. Inside, Emily's chocolate cake recipe, handwritten, dated 1926. Eliza's script. Bake for the next. I didn't sleep. Singing swelled. Upstairs now. Crept to our bedroom. Emily, no, Eliza, sat on the bed, hair dark and pinned, dress high-necked, smiling that sepia smile. Happy birthday, Elias. Forever. Grabbed her wrist. Cold. Real. Emily? E.H., she breathed. The gift finds its pair every 100 years. 30 binds us to the river. You wished for a child. We give eternity. Fought her. No, it. She moved wrong, fluid like fog, nails raking. Locket burned against my chest. I'd slipped it on for protection. Basement called. Water rushing below foundation. Portland's buried streams. Old maps whispered of them under Alberta. Dragged her down. Pebble glowed. Burn it, her voice echoed. Emily's and Eliza's layered. Torch from garage. Gasoline. Flames leaped, but the locket melted wrong. Pebble intact, whispering my name. Jake Harlan, 30, return. She lunged. I shoved, stumbled. River mud floor sucked my boots. Water bubbled up, cold Willamette black. Hands, icy, many, pulled. Emily's face surfaced in the flood, pleading. Then Eliza's laughing, surfaced gasping on the bank, blocks away. Dawn broke, fog lifting. Cops found the house flooded, basement ruined. No Emily. Foul play, they asked. I babbled curses, lockets, psych eval pending. It's January 23rd now. Living in a Beaverton motel, Emily's parents silent. Portland fog follows me. Locket, gone. But every birthday cake I see reeks of chocolate and river rot. Whispers at night. Next year, 31? No, the cycle restarts. Check the date. Eliza vanished January 3rd, 1926. Elias followed 6 years later. Emily and I, mirrors. Tonight, a box waits outside. Red wrap, ribbon crisp. Inside pebble. Smooth etched J.H. Forever. The river calls. Happy birthday to me. Story 3. I never believed in curses or the supernatural. Growing up in the quiet suburbs of Akron, Ohio, life was as predictable as the changing seasons. My name is Emily Carter, and I turned 28 on that fateful day last summer. Birthdays had always been low-key for me, maybe a dinner with friends at the local Applebee's or a movie night at home. But this one was different. It started with a package from my estranged aunt, and it ended in a nightmare I still can't wake from. Let me back up. My family has roots in Akron going back generations. My great-grandfather, Elias Carter, was a steel mill worker during the boom years of the 1920s. He built our family home on Elm Street, a modest two-story colonial with a wraparound porch and a basement that always smelled like damp earth. Legend has it that Elias struck a deal with some shady investors to buy the land cheap, but there were whispers about the property's dark history. Back in the 1800s, it was part of an old farm where a family vanished without a trace. No bodies, no clues, just an empty house and a barn burned to the ground. Kids in school used to scare each other with stories of ghosts wandering the fields, but I dismissed it as urban folklore. After all, Akron isn't Salem. It's just a Rust Belt city trying to reinvent itself with craft breweries and tech startups. My parents inherited the house when I was a kid, and we lived there until they divorced when I was 15. Mom moved to Cleveland with her new boyfriend, and Dad stayed in Akron, rattling around in that big old place alone. I went off to college at Ohio State, majored in marketing, and landed a job at a digital agency in downtown Akron. Life was good, stable job, a cozy apartment in Highland Square, and a boyfriend named Jake who worked as a mechanic at the Goodyear plant. But Dad's health had been declining. He had emphysema from years of smoking, and last year he passed away quietly in his sleep. The house became mine, though I hadn't set foot in it since the funeral. I planned to sell it, but the market was slow, so it sat empty, gathering dust. A week before my birthday, I got the package. It was postmarked from Seattle, where my Aunt Lydia lived. She was Dad's sister, the black sheep of the family, never married, traveled the world as a photographer, and cut ties after some big argument years ago. The box was wrapped in brown paper, no note, just an old leather-bound journal inside. The cover was embossed with E.C., Elias Carter. Flipping through, it was filled with faded handwriting, diary entries from the 1920s. Most were mundane, work shifts, union talks, but toward the end, they got weird. Elias wrote about nightmares, shadows in the basement, and a presence that whispered promises of fortune if he renewed the pact. The last entry, dated July 15th, 1929, my birthday, a century later, read, "The debt comes due on the blood moon. One life for the prosperity. God forgive me." I laughed it off at first. Aunt Lydia probably sent it as a quirky gift, knowing my birthday was coming up. But why no card? I tried calling her, but her number was disconnected. A quick Google search showed she hadn't posted on social media in months. Uneasy, I shoved the journal in a drawer and focused on birthday plans. Jake and I were hosting a small party at my apartment. Pizza from Luigi's, beers, and a cake from the bakery on Market Street. Nothing fancy. That night, the dream started. I was in the old house, wandering the halls, but they stretched endlessly like a maze. Whispers echoed, my name, over and over. I woke up sweating, heart pounding. The next day at work, I mentioned it to my coworker, Sarah. "Sounds like stress," she said. "Selling that house is a big deal." Maybe she was right, but then the calls began. My phone would ring at odd hours, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., from an unknown number. No voice, just static and faint breathing. I blocked it, but it kept coming from different numbers. Jake thought it was a prank, but I wasn't so sure. By midweek, I decided to check on the house. It was a humid afternoon, the kind where cicadas buzz like electricity in the air. Elm Street looked the same. Kids on bikes, neighbors mowing lawns. The key stuck in the lock, but I got in. The air inside was stale, like opening a tomb. Dust sheets covered the furniture, and the grandfather clock in the living room had stopped at 12:39. Odd, since Dad wound it religiously. I headed to the basement, drawn by some invisible pull. The journal mentioned shadows there. The stairs creaked under my feet, and the bulb flickered on, casting long shadows. Nothing unusual, just boxes of old junk, a workbench, and the furnace humming softly. But as I turned to leave, I saw it. Scratches on the wall, deep gouges like claws. They formed words. Renew the pact. My blood ran cold. Had they always been there? I snapped a photo on my phone and bolted upstairs. Outside, I called Jake. Come over tonight, I begged. He did, and we pored over the journal together. This is creepy as hell, he said. Maybe Elias was losing it. Depression-era stuff. We researched online. Turns out there was a blood moon eclipse on July 15th, 1929, visible over Ohio, and another one this year, on my birthday. Coincidence. We laughed nervously, but sleep didn't come easy. The day before my birthday, things escalated. I was at the grocery store picking up party supplies when I felt eyes on me. Turning, I saw a man in the aisle, tall, gaunt, wearing an outdated suit like from the 20s. He stared, unblinking, then vanished around the corner. I followed, but he was gone. Shaken, I headed home. That evening, Aunt Lydia finally called, from a blocked number. Her voice was frail, urgent. Emily, don't go back to the house. The pact. Elias made it with something not human. It demands a life every century on the blood moon, tied to our bloodline. He sacrificed his brother to build his fortune. Dad refused, so it took Mom instead, in that accident when you were little. Mom's car crash? I remembered the foggy details. She swerved off I-77 on a clear night. I sent the journal to warn you, Lydia continued. Break the cycle or it'll claim you. I hung up, terrified. Jake dismissed it as family delusion, but I couldn't shake it. We canceled the party, opting for a quiet night in. As midnight approached, my birthday officially starting, the sky outside turned eerie, the moon swelling red from the eclipse. We watched from my window, sipping wine to calm nerves. Then a knock at the door. Jake answered. No one there, just a note on the mat. The debt is due. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown. Elm Street awaits. We drove there stupidly, armed with flashlights and a baseball bat. The house loomed dark against the blood moon. Inside, the clock ticked now, hands at 12:39 again. Whispers filled the air, growing louder as we descended to the basement. The scratches glowed faintly, and shadows twisted unnaturally. Emily, a voice rasped, not human. Jake swung the bat at nothing, but something grabbed him. Tendrils of darkness, pulling him into the wall. He screamed, vanishing before my eyes. I ran upstairs, heart exploding, but the door slammed shut. The whispers became a chorus. Renew or perish. Visions flooded my mind. Elias signing a blood oath with a shadowy figure. His brother's throat slit in ritual. The entity promised wealth, but exacted a toll. Dad had ignored it. Losing Mom. Now it was my turn. The room spun, the moon's red light bleeding through windows. I felt it inside me, cold fingers on my soul. In desperation, I grabbed the journal from my bag. I'd brought it, and tore pages, screaming denials. But the presence laughed. Blood for blood. Pain shot through me like knives in my veins. I collapsed, vision fading. When I woke, it was dawn. The house was silent. The clock stopped. Jake was gone. No trace. Police searched, called it a disappearance. They found no evidence, dismissed my story as grief-induced hallucination. Aunt Lydia? Her Seattle apartment empty? Neighbors said she moved months ago. I sold the house, moved to Columbus, but every night I hear whispers. The next blood moon is in 2129, but the pact lingers. It didn't take me fully, maybe because I fought, but it marked me. Scars on my arms like gouges. Next. Birthdays aren't celebrations anymore. They're countdowns. Story 4, I never believed in birthday curses until my 29th in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania. It started innocently enough. My name's Ethan Harper, born and raised in this forgotten speck of a town nestled in the Allegheny Mountains. Population, 1,247. give or take a meth head or two. I just moved back from Pittsburgh after my divorce, crashing at my grandma's old Victorian on Elm Street. Creaky floors, peeling wallpaper, the works. Grandma passed 5 years back, but her stories lingered like damp rot. She'd whisper about the birthday boy while rocking in her chair by the fireplace. Back in 1892, a mill worker named Silas turned 30 on October 15. He snapped, hacked up his family with an axe during their cake-cutting party. Legend said his ghost haunted birthdays, drawn to the flicker of candles. 29's the warning year, Ethan, she'd say. He comes for the cake. Kid stuff, right? I laughed it off. That night, October 14th, I planned a solo bash. Grabbed a six-pack from the Exxon in town, a store-bought chocolate cake from Sheets, and 29 candles. Why 29? Felt right. As I lit them at 11:59 p.m., the power flickered. Wind howled through the pines outside. Stupid, I thought. Just a storm brewing. Midnight struck. I blew out the candles, made a wish for a fresh start. Smoke curled like fingers. That's when the first knock came. Soft, from the back door. I froze, cake knife in hand. Willow Creek's quiet. No neighbors within shouting distance. Gripped the knife tighter, crept to the kitchen window. Nothing but black woods and swaying branches. Probably a raccoon. I locked the door, double-checked the bolts, and crashed on the couch with my beer. Sleep wouldn't come. Grandma's old cuckoo clock ticked louder than usual, counting seconds like a heartbeat. Tick, tick. At 1:17 a.m., scratching. From upstairs. The attic. Rats, I figured. House was ancient. Grabbed my flashlight, climbed the pull-down stairs. Dust motes danced in the beam. Old trunks, cobwebs, a rocking horse with one eye missing. No rats, but in the corner, etched into the rafters, 29, he returns. SC, Silas Crow. My gut twisted. Coincidence. Had to be. Morning hit gray and drizzly. I shook it off, drove to the diner on Route 119 for coffee. Old man Hargrove, who's run the place since Nixon, eyed me funny. Heard you had your birthday last night, Ethan. Careful. My pa saw the lights in your woods. Lights? I asked, spilling sugar. Like candles floating. Birthday boy sign? He chuckled, but his eyes darted. Hargrove's full of ghost stories. Tourists eat 'em up. Still, I texted my buddy Jake in Philly. Weird night. Hear anything about Silas Crow? No reply. Back home, the cake sat half-eaten on the counter. One candle had relit itself, wax dripping like blood. I stubbed it out, heart pounding. Phone buzzed. Jake! Dude! Silas was real. Check the 1892 Willow Gazette archives online. He didn't just kill his family. He ate the cake with their fingers as forks. Never caught. Happy Bay Day, LOL. I Googled it. There it was, digitized at the Carnegie Library site. Mill worker slays kin on birthday, cake scene of horror. Photos grainy, but the house? Identical to Grandma's. Same gabled roof, built on the same lot after the fire. Afternoon dragged. I boarded up the attic access, nailed the back door shut. Paranoia? Maybe. But the woods felt watchful, shadows lengthening early. By dusk, the knocks returned. Rhythmic. 3 taps, pause, 3 more. Morse code? I grabbed Dad's old shotgun from the closet, unloaded but heavy comfort. Peered out, a figure at the tree line. Tall, hooded, carrying something long. Axe? It vanished when I blinked. Storm rolled in hard, thunder masking scratches at the windows. Inside, the air turned sweet, like frosting. The cake, it had grown mold overnight, but now, fresh, glistening. 29 tiny handprints in the icing. Child-sized, upstairs, the rocking horse creaked. I aimed the flashlight. No horse, just swinging shadows. Then a whisper. 1 more candle, Ethan. 30 tomorrow. My name, in Grandma's voice. I bolted downstairs, barricaded the bedroom door with the dresser. Phone dead. No signal. Battery drained. Curled under blankets, shotgun cocked, waiting for dawn. I barely slept. Sunup brought fog so thick you couldn't see the road. No power, no heat. The cake was gone from the counter, replaced by a single candle, unlit, wax black as tar. A note beside it, handwriting shaky. Light it, or I will. Not mine. Grandma's cursive. Desperate, I hiked to Hargrove's diner. Place empty. Blood on the counter, fresh, smeared into 29. Outside, Jake's truck idled crooked in the lot. Inside, him slumped over the register, throat slit ear to ear, fingers missing, cake fork in his fist, chocolate smeared on his lips. My cake. Panic clawed me. Sirens.